What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj. Today we're going to get straight to the point. We're talking about New York Knicks point guard Derrick Rose. If you haven't heard, Derrick Rose, former MVP in 2011, just tore his left meniscus. Huge blow, not because of the Knicks season, but because of, well, it's pretty obvious actually. Derrick Rose has one of the scariest injury histories in the NBA and probably will go down as one of the most injury prone, one of those what if players in NBA history. It's such a sad thing, but it seemed like a pretty good season overall for Rose just because he was able to get through a lot of the season, without getting injured. I'm saying he had a good season health-wise, compared to his recent years, last 4 or 5 years, have been injury-plagued to say the very least. Now, Derrick Rose has made a name for himself this season in the media, with saying stuff like this, or, not showing up for a game and not telling anybody. He's been, in the news a little bit, but other than that, in terms of the real basketball news, the stuff that we want to hear about Derrick Rose, he hasn't been that guy that we have seen, prior to the injuries. In his first 4 years in the league, let's say. If you take a look at Derrick Rose's career trend, you look at the first 4 seasons of him in the NBA, and, that's his uprising. That's just him blooming from a ultra-talented rookie into a full-fledged superstar and eventually MVP. And then the 12-13 season, the season where he sat out, and then 4 years after that have been, him just as a pretty average player, providing a little flash here and there. He actually did have some pretty, there was a year 14-15 with the Bulls where, he was looking like he was coming back. He was playing better. I would say that just because of his aggressiveness. That was the year that, the Bulls were the 3 seed. They played the Cavs in the playoffs. He hit that huge game-winning shot in Game 3. I remember that being a Bulls fan. That was, a very vivid moment in our recent history. It's not looking as good now, but we're definitely not going to talk about that. Derrick Rose this season, his stats, they're not terrible. If you're an average, casual fan, you take a look at Derrick Rose's stats, you see the 18 points, 4 assists, 4 boards, 47% from the field. His 3-point shot isn't there, but that 47% from the field mark is his second highest field goal percentage, or his third highest field goal percentage of his career, and it's actually his highest since the injuries. His highest since the 2009-10 season. This, you'd think that's pretty good. You look at his numbers, you're like, you know what? This isn't bad, okay? 2 turnovers isn't that bad. But then, there's a lot of bad to come with the good. He can score some points. We know he can do that. That's why he's in the league. He gets to the basket at will. He's super quick and athletic. He can shoot the ball from the mid-range at a good clip. As soon as he gets past 20 feet, it's a GG. The guy's not hitting shots from beyond the arc or near the arc. He gets some deep twos, but that it's not really that important. His defense is absolutely atrocious. That was one of the main things that threw him off this season. You take a look at Bleacher Report's top 30 point guards in the league list, and he's like at 27. And I don't think Derrick Rose is that good, but I certainly wouldn't put him at 27. But that those guys are all analytics. But regardless, the Knicks aren't very good, and this blow to Derrick Rose, it's more about his career. It's more about what he's been through. You take a look at Derrick Rose through the years, and he just hasn't been himself because of frequent injuries. And some of this, man, it's just dumb luck. Okay, it's like the guy, after he tears his ACL, tears his meniscus, and then he tears the other meniscus, and he tore the same meniscus in his ACL knee, but he got his meniscus removed in the other knee, I thought. So both of his knees are basically gone now, I think that's right. And then he had that face injury. In the first day of practice last season, 2015-16, first day of practice before that season, he was elbowed in the face, and he had that orbital fracture, and he couldn't play to start the season. And when he got there, he wasn't very good because he couldn't see anything. So, right off the bat, this guy just doesn't have good luck whatsoever. He's one of the most unlucky players in the NBA for sure. He plays for the Knicks. Anyway, it might say something about, like, I think I could use this time to talk about what Derrick Rose's future is in the NBA, because I do actually talk about this a good amount, not like in videos, but when I'm talking with people about basketball, Derrick Rose is kind of a frequent topic. I mean, he used to be more, because he was always the face of Chicago, even in that last year or two in Chicago. Even though we all knew Jimmy Butler was emerging as that best player on the team and that it was his team, Derrick Rose, I mean, he still had the highest usage rate. He was still the face of the franchise his name was announced last in the starting lineups for all that matters. But people in Chicago talked about this dude like he was the king. Like he was the face of the franchise still, in those later years. He was a huge name. So he was a pretty big deal, regardless of how good he was playing at the time. So he goes to New York, and there's a lot of scrutiny on him because, we're trying to see, okay, what does he bring to the Knicks? Is he going to make them better? Is he going to make them worse? What did the Bulls look like now? Is he going to make them better now that he's not there, or worse if he's not there? Like, whatever, stuff like that. And if I find myself wondering when I watch him play, when I look at, the results of Knicks games. Now, look, it's not his fault that the Knicks are bad, okay? We can call him a component of the problem, not really the biggest issue on that team. I think everything in the Knicks organization is just screwed, okay? From the front office, all the way down. From the president, Phil Jackson, James Dolan, all those guys, something's fucked up. You got to get all those guys out of here, and that's not gonna happen, okay? They just keep screwing up. Joakim Noah signing was like, come on, man, that can't happen. But stuff like that. Those guys, they screw the franchise up. It trickles down, and you watch the players play, and it's like, wow, this is a mess. This is exactly what the Knicks are. They're a mess. And Derrick Rose, it's not the greatest place for us to judge his play because, I mean, like, you're playing with Melo and you're trying to develop Porzingis at the same time, but then you got Derrick Rose in there, but yeah, you were trying to win a championship, and then now you're not. You're trying to tank. Like, I don't know how are we judging this guy? But when I look at him, the point I'm trying to make here is that I don't think Derrick Rose fits on most NBA rosters, and I'll tell you guys why. I've said this before. I don't know if I've ever said this in a video, but Derrick Rose is the type of guy that plays with the superstar mentality. If Derrick Rose is on your team, you're gonna want the ball to be in his hands because Derrick Rose, he serves you absolutely no use if you play him off the ball. That's why I don't see him working as a starter. First of all, him going to a bad team doesn't make any sense because bad teams, they want to develop their players. They want to play their young guys. They don't want a guy like Derrick Rose because, okay, they're bad. You don't want, that's just wasting. You're trying to tank and you're trying to get your young guys to play, and Derrick Rose he's not helping that. He's not the type of guy that's he's not gonna be somewhere just to help young guys develop. He wants to win, and he should go to a winning team, and a winning team should want him, but not for their starting lineup. First of all, winning teams, like the good teams in the NBA, they already know, where they're gonna get their points from, where they're gonna get their playmaking from, their sources of scoring, right? So they look at the Spurs. We know they're gonna run their offense through Kawhi Leonard, and they got their ball movement going, and they know how they work their offense. The Warriors, they like to spread it out. They like to get shooters in the corners. Draymond Green, they like to have them up top, finding guys. And then, if you don't get a shot, KD's going to take the shot. Everybody knows what they're doing. Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron and Kyrie take turns. LeBron driving, kick, open shooters. Kyrie attack the basket, stuff like that. And everybody knows where they're getting their sorts of offense. My point here is that everybody really knows. No good team, no great team is like, oh, we definitely need Derrick Rose. Because most teams usually have a good ball handler to score. Most teams have a point guard. And also, it doesn't really fit a lot of places. Derrick Rose is the type of guy that, like I said, you need to have the ball in his hands. Are there really a lot of good teams that need Derrick Rose to make plays for them? Are they gonna stoop that low? Because you look at the Spurs. You got Kawhi Leonard to make plays for you. Why you're gonna have Derrick Rose to make plays for Kawhi? If you have Derrick Rose on your team, he doesn't really work if he's standing in the corner. He can't shoot. And if he's on the court, what is he on the court to do? He's on the court to score points. He's not that good of a passer. This leads me to believe that Derrick Rose would be satisfactory as a bench player, as a reserve, as a sixth man type guy. Sixth man, I think would be perfect. You want this guy to run your offense off the bench because a lot of great teams don't have all that depth. And you know, I think he would be great. I think that you run offense for him against the second unit guys, and he can attack the basket and do his thing and play freely the way that he's used to playing. And you know, give him around 20 minutes a game and or more. I don't know, but you know, he could be like your Lou Will or your Eric Gordon without shooting threes. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think that would work. Let me know if that makes sense to you guys. But I don't know. I just think Derrick Rose, like, he doesn't do anything for you on defense. Okay, he's not gonna spread the floor. And for the most part, I mean, I think if he plays with a bench unit, then in the ball's in his hands, I think he can make plays for people. I don't think that he's like a tunnel vision player that just only looks to score. I think if this guy has the ball in his hands and he's there to make plays and he's got shooters around him, I think that he could definitely make some plays for people. Okay, he's not Rondo or John Wall or something. Okay, he's not gonna just pass to every open shot, but he's also not like J.R. Smith. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. This is bad news. You know, mostly talking about where this guy's gonna be next year. The Knicks, to rule him out of the Knicks, like, they're idiots, so they might just sign him and then prolong their future for absolutely no good reason. But you know, for me, I'm looking at some top tier teams, some teams that don't have a lot of depth. You know, like maybe the Washington Wizards next season. I don't know. I mean, that just popped into my head. You know, something like that. He could be on the Clippers bench, or you know, play the backup point guard role. I hope it doesn't sound like disrespectful. It might be coming off that way just to talk about a guy like this. But I'm trying to be realistic. A lot of people are saying like, oh, this dude's career is over. Like, no, I mean, this guy could really, he could he could find a good role for himself somewhere. I hate to see his talent be wasted, because I don't think anybody, like, the Bulls didn't use him right because him and Jimmy Butler don't work. Okay, we know that. The Knicks, they're forget about the Knicks. They can, yeah. But you know, I think that another team that's good, that could use a guy like Derrick Rose to run their offense for their second unit. I don't know. Let me know if this sounds good. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, something down below. Idea for a video. Subscribe if you're new. And I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.